Welcome to the Loffa Interactive FVD Demo. We provide a couple of different solutions. Our core competencies, anything that's done in a manual process, any accounting, compliance, or regulatory issue that's done in a manual way, we've been able to work with our customers to automate the process. I just wanted to show you the dashboard. If you used all of our applications, it would look like this. If you come on and you use just one, you would basically be able to click on that particular one. So you're going to get a file spec that you would use to go ahead and upload your files to us on a daily basis. The file looks like this. It's going to go ahead and it's going to list your DTC number. So it's going to say from DTC 94 to, in this case, Goldman. It's going to list your account number. It's going to list Goldman's account number, and then it's just going to list all the trade details. So quantity, net amount, security ID, security description, trade date, settlement date. You can put your correspondent firm name in here, right? And so from that standpoint, if you're ever trying to track who was this for, etc., you would be able to put in, ABC Securities, whatever name the firm is. And so you have that, so you can do searches for any open item based on that. And then lastly, if you have an internal tracking number, you're able to put in your, that tracking number. Again, this is for troubleshooting purposes, strictly optional and for your purposes in case you have any issues, questions, etc. So you provide this file to us. We normally get it through a secure FTP. We get it, early in the morning, anytime after 12:01. We actually have some customers have started to send it to us because of T+1, now sending it prior to midnight. So we have that ability as well. So you're able to send the file to us, and then we would go ahead and process the file. So using that as an example, you'd see market hasn't closed yet. But if it was closed, these are all represent trades that we've done today that settle tomorrow. We're able to upload this at any point and go ahead and send this information out to your counterparties. So we receive a file. This is what the individuals who do this on a day-to-day, what they see. So in this case, I sent out 90 letters of free funds. And so I'm going to go ahead and click. This is our dashboard. Taking a look at the top, there are different bells and whistles that we have. I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but just suffice to say the system has a lot of things at your fingertips that allow you to implement certain policies and procedures that in the past you may not have been able to do, and also obviously increase your supervisor oversight, and most importantly, reduce the amount of time that you may be spending doing this function. So for instance, you send us a file, we import it, we go ahead, and we automatically send it out to all your counterparties on your behalf. There isn't any additional work that you need to do. Loffa does all the heavy lifting, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just decrease this just a little bit so that you can see. All right, so now you're at what we call the Activity Manager screen. So this is where you're able to see what are the items, and you have the ability, there are different things you can see this time period. Which items do you want to see? You predominantly want to see just the items that are still in newly sent. This is ordered by number of days in status. So as I send these items out, I obviously read from left to right number of days in status. I just imported this today, so this item's only been in 1 day. If you want to see an image of what was sent out, you're able to click on that icon, and you can see this image. If you needed to print it or give it to someone for an audit, or whatever the case is, you can go ahead and print this item, download it, whatever you need to. I'm going to take a second here, and I'm going to explain on this form what you're able to see. So taking a look at the form, what will happen is when you become a customer, it's going to say from DTC 294, it's going to have velocity clearing. It's going to say, return back to, we provide you a unique email. So it's going to say loff_velocity@loffa.com. We also provide you a unique fax number. So when we send information out, so as you can see, this item is actually sent electronically, and I'll explain that in a minute, but we have counterparties that are on the other side. So as I said, we have close to 30 or so firms that use our solution. So when you're sending to Pershing, Citi, National Financial, etc., etc. They're going to receive it electronically. And so when they respond, you get the benefit of straight-through processing. There isn't anything that you need to do. And I'll show you an example of that in a minute. But if you were sending this to Goldman, Goldman is not part of our network. You would see this, and this would be sent to Goldman's email or fax number, and you can also include other people if you ever have an issue. But our letter of Freefund tracks everything. So you know, it has all the information, shows the details of the transaction. If you have a separate prime broker department and you're sending a letter of Freefund out, the reason that you're sending a letter of Freefund out is because you don't have a Form 1 Schedule A on file. So you can tell them, hey, send us the Form 1 Schedule A so we can sign it so we don't have to send you letters anymore. So I know, the large file that you're looking at isn't looking to do that. But again, for any other firm, you're able to put that on the form, and so this information is sent out. When it comes back in, it'll show up here and receive, and I'll show you that in a second. You have the ability to add a note. This was very huge for a lot of our customers when everybody was working from home. Because if not, people were stepping on each other's toes, had 1, 2, or 3 individuals working on the same item. You were able to go ahead and put a note on it and say, I'm taking care of this. You also have flags, so you can same thing. These flag, this right now blue one says, in progress. This could say, Aaron's name. This one can say Chris's name. This one can say Michael's name. Doesn't matter. Whatever you need it to say, we're able to say it. We're able to, label it for you. But in purpose, in this case, I'm just putting it as blue. So you can see we have different flags and you're able to see what the status of it is. You're able to click on the reference ID number. So if you look on the reference ID number again, it's going to show you the image on the left-hand side. It's going to show you the details on the right. You're able to see number of days in status, attempts made, when we imported it, who imported it, etc., etc. So from an audit standpoint, all of this is at your fingertips. If you ever got audited and they wanted to see something, you're able to show them this information. If you thought something looked a little odd, you're able to come down here and look at the audit trail as well. And from here, you don't have to exit to put a note on it. You can go ahead and click a note. You can click a flag. You can clear a flag. You can do, again, pretty much everything that you need to do at your fingertips. So I know some people back in the day, things used to be some firms I know receive it in an email. And even though they receive it in email, they print it. They go to the scanner, they grab it, they sign it, they then turn back to the scanner. They scan, and then they email it out. No more of that. Using our solution, everything is done automatically for you coming back here to Activity Manager. So here I'm going to stop in 1 second. So as you can see, we have items that say E reference ID number. So if you're looking in E reference ID number, that is your first indicator that you're sending a letter of free fund to someone who is part of the FVD network. So as you can see, Wedbush is on the Network Access BMO. They're not here as Jeffrey. Jeffries is on the network. You come down, there's, some others. If you didn't want to look at it that way, we have filters over here. And so you can say, okay, I have all the items that I sent. I sent out 85 items. I want to see just those items that are electronic. And so you're able to filter it. And so you can see out of the 85, 60 of them were sent to firms that are our customers. So again, when they respond to you, if they respond and they approve it, they've done it. It's going to move this record from new to approved. And you receive the benefit of straight-through processing. Yeah, so you'll come in and you'll see something like this. So I quickly imported a file of 90 records, and then I went and I processed 5 of them. So this is generally what's going to happen is you're going to send information out to the counterparties. When they respond, the items automatically match. The next section is really depending on your level of service of what you're expecting from us. Right. We have customers that have asked us to do their processing for them. So they've outsourced this to us, and then we have others that do it themselves. And then there's certain things that we're doing to streamline the process. So we're constantly looking for continuous improvement of our application. But let's just say you choose the the least automated option we have. The least automated option that we have is when you send items out and they come back in our system. I'll tell you that this item has come back in. So you sent them this form, and then they return this form. So as you can see, there's 5 items in here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to process these. So to process these items, I click on Reference ID. And so, as you can see here, they DK this as prime broker. I tell our customers if you send out 90 items, around 80 of them are going to automatically be approved. Right. The counterparty is going to say, hey, this account has more money than God. So go ahead and approve it. However, you're going to have, 5 to 10% that are going to be on issues. Maybe the account is an NSF situation. Maybe account is prime broker, broker to broker, whatever the case is. Maybe they don't know this account number on the other side. Whatever the scenario is, when you're processing, I tell people it's like taking a test, and you want to do all the easy ones first. And then after you're done with the easy ones, then go back and look at the questions that you had to think about. So when I'm processing, there's 5 items on this one. You can see they say DK, prime broker. I'm not going to take the time to look at this account to see if there's prime broker paperwork, etc. on file. All I'm going to do is say, I'm going to take this, I'll put in review needed. I'm going to say possible prime broker, Form 1 Schedule A, and hit submit, and the system is going to go to the next record. And so let's just say for the purpose of this one was approved, I'm going to go ahead and approve, and then I'm going to go to the next record. And you can see this one says DK in NSF. I'm going to take this one, I'm going to hit review needed, and I'm going to say, why am I putting in review needed? Possible funds not available, and I'm hit submit. And then the next record is going to come. This one says approved, great. I don't need to do anything with it. Next record comes in, this one's approved, great. I hit approve, I'm done. So I've processed all 5 items, and so I'm able to come back over here, and you can see now I don't have any items in there. I have 3 in approved and 2 in review needed. If you come across, and I looked at this one, I said, okay, this is a prime broker account. I can look at my system. Maybe I'm calling another department, say, hey, did we get the Form 1 Schedule A? If they say yes, we got the Form 1 Schedule A, then great. What you're able to do is a nice feature about our solution is you're able to come down here and say, I want to close this record. And why do you want to close this record? You want to close this record because this is a prime broker account, and I'm going to hit submit. This is a nice. Let's just say that you received 100 letters, right? You sent out 100 letters, and they respond just back to 1. The minute you say yes, you want to do all records, and you go ahead and you put your email in here, because once you do this is a function that's doing live. A system is now going, and it's taking every letter that we have with that same DTC number, same account number, same custodian account number. It's going to move it to closed prime broker. So that's going to do a lot of heavy lifting. You had to call another department to ask them, did you have a Form 1 Schedule A on file? They say yes, they did. You come in here. You then respond to letter of Freefund, DK, prime broker. However, someone, whether your department or the onboarding team, has to code the account prime broker on your system internally. And so once you code that account prime broker internally, then you should never have to send a letter of Freefund out again, unless for some reason that account loses its prime broker eligibility. And so that's something where, again, when we work with your IT folks, when they pick up all the DVP, RVP accounts, they're going to pick up some prime broker accounts. And so what we will say is there's somewhere in your system that you didn't know which accounts are prime broker, right? You have to show that you have prime broker paperwork on file. And so wherever that field is, they'll look at that field to say, hey, I have a trade. Oh, but this is prime broker. Since it's prime broker, I don't have to send a letter of Freefund. And so that happens. Now, the reason I call it a timing difference, and we actually have a solution for that, is when you're doing that, there are times that you're going to do this, that you're working faster than the other person coding the account, and your trader's placing a trade. So what I mean by that is, Let's just say, using the example that we just did, you have a trade that you identified as prime broker. And here it is. And so you said, Loffa prime broker active, and I just added the rule, if everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing in a perfect world, you should never see a letter of free fund again. But we understand that the market opens at 9:30. If you're clearing something at 12 o'clock, then any trades done in that account from 9:30 to 12 will probably show up on your letter of free funds file because it's moving faster than you updated the account. For that reason. The next day when you send us the letter of free funds, and if you had trades for that account, we will suppress them. We won't send them out. And the reason that we suppress it is because one of the worst things to do is, let's just say, you're on the phone with DTC 100 and they say, this is the prime broker account. You go, great. Yep, we have everything that we need. And then the next day, you send them another 100 letters in a letter of free funds. That person can pick up the phone and call you and say, why are you sending me a letter of free funds? You told me you had the Form 1 Schedule A. And so for that reason, we suppress that for you. And we suppress it for a few days because, as I said. So in this case, I added the rule on 9/1. It will stay on the system until 9/12. So for 30 business days, your operations team has 30 business days to code the account properly. If they don't code the account properly on the 31st day, this rule becomes inactive, and then you'll start sending letters again, unless you make it permanent, and you can come in here if I wanted to make this permanent. I would click this button and make permanent. Now, the minute I do that, I have to add my email, etc. And then I'll never send a letter of free fund for that account ever again unless I remove it from here. Some clients ask if the prime status changes on that account. Do we just do the same thing in reverse? And we say, exactly, you would just come in. So the prime relationship, if you come in here, you go to manage suppression, you would just basically, whatever the details, whatever the situation is. So you put in the DTC number. So I'm going to just use this one down here. So let's just say 187. So I would come in here and go 187, and I would put in, the account number. Account number, I would find a rule, and then I can come in here and I can delete the rule. I can make it inactive depending on if this is a temporary thing or if it's a permanent thing. And an example of a temporary thing and a permanent thing is, for instance, it hasn't happened in a while, but we had accounts that were Goldman. So DTC 501, and they were moving over to DTC 5. And so there were times that they were like in a transitionary type phase, and they didn't want to delete the rule. They just wanted to put it on the side for a minute. So again, we work with, if that should happen, we work with you on any weird stuff. But yes, you're able to come in here and just edit it or delete it or, make it inactive. So that's the FVD S Demo. And again, if anyone ever has questions, please let me know. And we're always looking to make our application better. Our mantra here is continuous improvement. So thank you, everyone, for your time.